And we are back. This is Consumer Guard, continuing with our clothing and textile industry discussion. Here is more from our consumers.
When faced with a decision to choose between a product that is produced in South Africa and those imported from other countries, consumers say they would rather support local brands, as they know this decision will not only boost domestic products but also the rand.
It's of course, the more we support brands that are produced within the country, the more revenue that actually is retained within our country. So it will go, because we have businesses that are within our townships and all of that, if we support brands that are produced locally, we support job creation within our local communities.
Because I'm a proud South African and I expect which something made from South Africa, it's original and it's better.
I think we're losing because imported clothes, you're paying outside. In local, we don't get anything. Like you just pay in the airport or wherever, but the economy is not benefiting from imports.
The South African clothing and textile industry has an important role to play as an industry that can generate revenue within the country and expand margins. We spoke to Industrial Development Corporation to find out what is being done to revive this course.
South Africa has become dependent on other countries. Local manufacturing decreased as it was replaced with imported goods in the late 1990s. This led to the very deep destruction of jobs and the closing of factories. As a matter of fact, from 2002 to 2006, for example, total clothing imports into South Africa increased to about 480%, whilst clothing imports from China increased by more than 730%. In 2009, government introduced a stronger industrial policy and a package of measures to help the industry recapture domestic market share and strive to work closely with local businesses. The manufacturing industry used to be the highest performing sector in the 80s at a contribution rate of 22% to the GDP. Today, the sector has dropped to fourth place with a contribution of only 13%. The gross domestic product growth rate has since fallen in the first quarter of 2017. If measured by production, it is by no surprise that expenditure on real gross domestic product has also fallen. This means households' final consumption expenditure has been greatly affected, having decreased by 2.3%. Clothing and footwear came second after food and non-alcoholic beverages as the main contributor on growth. According to Statistics South Africa, half of the manufacturing industry's national workforce is concentrated in just three metros: Johannesburg, Cape Town and Durban. Last year, the employment rate in the sector decreased by 2% year-on-year. The average salary for an employee working in the textile industry is 69,443 rand, far less than other employees in the manufacturing sector. One of the factors that highlights the plight the sector has faced over the years. Loss of jobs, minimum income and very little development to help revive the sector back to its glory.
It's safe to say it's not quality that we lack but support. Moving along, we had a chat with one of South Africa's most celebrated fashion designers about the potential of South Africa's fashion industry. Hello, Tula. It's such an honor to have you right here on Consumer Guard on ANN7. Welcome.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Okay. Now tell me, as a renowned fashion designer, would you say that you're probably maybe happy with the state of South African textile and clothing industry?
Well, as a designer, the textile industry in South Africa is growing day by day. Consumers are buying from South African designers, but of course there are many, many challenges, and I'd love to go into them.
Now, I know that you design for, the elegant, the sophisticated, ladies. Where do you get your material from?
Well, my textiles are sourced from everywhere around the world. My cottons locally, and and the walls locally, but I searched the world, you know, from Spain to Turkey to the Far East, because raw materials is really kind of where we start off, but we produce everything here in South Africa. We manufacture everything in South Africa. We design everything in South Africa. We create the IP in South Africa, so we're in the job of taking raw materials and creating beautiful value-added garments in South Africa and selling them in South Africa and around the world.
Also, you can say you're proudly South African because even the material you use is from South Africa.
Some of it, about 40% of our fabric is sourced from South Africa.
So what can you say, where do you attribute your success?
Well, for me, the success is really when it comes to connecting with customers. I listen to what the needs of my customers are. Sometimes they can't even communicate them verbally. Just when you look and you observe what's missing in the industry, what's missing when you look at clothes. So that's where I've come in. I create beautifully made garments at a great price, and also clothes that have a lot of value. You know, you buy something that you have no regrets over owning forever and ever, and creating classic pieces. For me, that is my niche, and that's how I've managed to be in this industry for more than 10 years.
Tula, can you tell us about your international clientele?
Well, with the kind of collection that I create, which is a ready-to-wear collection, we sell in Angola, we sell in Nigeria, we sell in the UK as well. But we're always looking for more distributors, because the kind of product I create has got an international appeal, and it's not just limited to a South African aesthetic. So my desire is really to work even more within the continent, especially Kenya. We're going to be in a store in Kenya at the end of August, but that's really exciting stuff.
It is exciting. But would you say that you're getting enough support maybe locally from, do people or South Africans support local designers?
South African consumers really do support a lot. You know, the only challenge really is access. South African consumers love South African design clothing, but for designers to be easy to access, that is very, very difficult. Access to market for black entrepreneurs is very difficult, because to be in a shopping center like the one I'm in is really, really expensive. So that is the main challenge, is how can government really support black entrepreneurs to have access to market and just growth capital as well. Consumers themselves, South Africans love locally made product, and they support it as long as it's easy for them to support. We can't expect consumers to go out of their way to buy products when they can just walk down the road and buy a competitor's product. So it's really on the government to give black consumers and black artisans access to market.
What are the challenges that you probably face, maybe if you want to get maybe your designs in big stores like the Woolworths, the Edgars? Do you have challenges?
Of course, we have very, very large challenges. Capacity is one thing, you know, because we manufacture our own clothing. So I have a staff of about 18 that produces clothing for me. And but to get into a big retailer, you need to be able to produce a whole lot more than that. But to be able to grow to that, you need working capital where you can buy more machinery, employ more people, and just have enough capital to grow. So access to capital is it's a big challenge for most entrepreneurs. And it's one thing that hopefully our funding institutions like the IDC, the NEF, CETA, CIFA, hopefully they can do a lot more, especially within textiles and design, not just textiles, but design, which is the most important element of fashion for me, because it's where we include the design and we take raw materials, input South African design, and come up with a very, very beautiful product at the end.
But what can they do then to help, to assist? What is it that, in your opinion, that you think that the government can assist you guys as local designers?
What the government should be doing is really funding design entrepreneurs from college going forward. It's very, very easy. Lots of other countries do it. Basically, if you give 10 companies 1 million rands each, even if 9 of them fall apart, the one that is successful will be 100 million rand company that will pay tax of 30 million rands. So it will make up for the losses. So funding should be given out a lot more easily, because black entrepreneurs are not doing this for fun. For us, it's do or die. So the success rate is a lot higher. And it should actually be going without saying that each black design entrepreneur, when they want to go into the industry, the access to market, access to funding should be something that is easily achievable for them, because they want to succeed, because we are feeding our own families here. We're not doing this because it's a beautiful hobby. We're doing this because it's our passion and we created it, and the stakes are a lot higher. And on top of that, government should be making sure that all of these shopping centers that are populated the entire country are compelled to have at least 30% of the tenants being black-owned businesses. Those are the two things. That's access to market and access to funding. That is all we need, and that we have none of at the moment. Funding is impossible to access, even for somebody like me, who is highly educated, highly intelligent, great track record, who's well known. It's nearly impossible. So anybody else, I don't know how they do it. So the challenges are there, but this is a market that can grow really strong, really fast, and it includes young people. And it's one of the few industries that the more you grow, the more people you need to employ. Other industries are not the same. You look at other industries, even car manufacturing, even agriculture. The more you grow, there's machinery to replace people. In fashion, you cannot replace people. So our growth does mean more jobs. Other industries, you buy a new machine that can replace 100 people on the field. So a focus on fashion is highly, highly important. Government, please support fashion design enterprises.
Thank you so much, Shula, and I hope that our consumers out there have learned a lot from you, and of course from your designs. I know that a lot of them love your designs, but thank you so much for having you.
Thank you.
It's time for us to conclude this topic and share with you our tip of the week.
In conclusion, we believe that South Africa needs South African products they can produce themselves. Judging by our own observation of the textile industry in the country and analysis of key players in the sector, the depression of the domestic performance and the impact of imports have thus far been depressing, with no possibility of a positive outcome. Let's stop enriching other countries more than we do our own, as this has directly resulted in the rand's inability to grow and ultimately in the recession. Retailers also need to carry a certain amount of local brands in support of our industry to ensure growth and sustainability.
And that's how we wrap up today's show. Do join us again next week as we discuss fuel and how it affects you. I am Balisa Mujuminyani. Until then, Salang Sinti.